Greetings. This is an overview of the rough draft for week 5 for English 322. In this milestone, you will complete a draft for your final paper and submit it to me by the end of the week. This same paper will be submitted for the 6-2 workshop. It's a discussion and peer review in week 6. So just remember, when you complete it, you can pretty much go right ahead into week 6 discussion and post your draft there as well. That'll be very helpful, as everyone will need to select 2 peers and write a fairly comprehensive review of their papers. But let's get to the draft right away and just look at some of the overview. The criteria that's required are listed at the top of the rubric, and it explains that you should have a theme and novel introduction and a thesis statement, and that's in your introduction overall. You should obviously present the 2 novels that you've chosen and the authors, and give a little bit of insight or background into the novels. You do not want to summarize an entire novel. You don't want to spend time in the draft summarizing the plot. You will be able to focus on the areas that are important to your argument or to your goal, but you need not give us an exact summary of the plots of the 2 novels that you choose. You do need to identify the theme and tell us why you've chosen that theme, what significance it is, and that can be a personal, philosophical, professional, or societal significance that you see that drew you to the theme that is similar or aligned for the 2 books. And then in the end of your introduction, you'll write a thesis statement, and the thesis statement should compare the 2 books, should tell us the theme that you see and some general thoughts. Typically, your thesis is the last sentence in the first paragraph or in the introduction. It might extend to 2 sentences, but you should not assume that the entire paragraph is the thesis. It should be a concise statement that tells us that I am comparing Hunger Games, and Gone Girls because of the similarity of the use of false identity, which it calls into question the theme of ethics in our society, and you will be doing that by focusing on character. That's a quick thesis statement. From there, you'll go into the body of the essay, and we'll look for these 4 elements: the literary analysis, which is your use of the literary device that you've chosen to make your point in each of the 2 books. And in doing so, not only will you identify and give examples of how that literary element supports your ideas, you'll show how that same element is used either similarly or differently. You'll compare and contrast between the 2 books. Of course, the supporting evidence is the text that you use from the primary sources and the secondary sources. A note about supporting evidence: there should not be a lot of block quotes. We shouldn't see, a third of a page where you're quoting a long passage. If you want to allude to a longer passage, you should summarize it, paraphrase it. And then finally, the interpretations, how you pull all that together, how you pull your ideas and present it and give us kind of a background on it. Finally, don't scrimp on your conclusion. It should restate the thesis statement. It need not be verbatim, but it should be easily recognizable as the same assertion or point that you made in the opening paragraph. And you want to touch on some of the main points that you made throughout the paper and perhaps add a little perspective. Not bring in new information, but maybe just say or show us how you have proven your point by adding an analogy or giving it to us in a slightly different light. So now let's take just a quick rundown again with the same thought in mind at the actual rubric. remember that it should be at least 3 pages in length. The final paper is 5 to 7 pages long. Those 3 pages do not include the works cited page. So again, we have that introduction with the thesis statement, and that's 15 points. We break it down into the literary analysis, the compare and contrast, the body evidence, the interpretation, and then the conclusion. It should be mostly error-free, and the works cited page should be standalone at the end of the essay in MLA style. So that kind of gives you an overview of what is expected. Again, quickly, when I look at an introduction, I look at how well you've brought the idea to the reader and how clear and concise the thesis statement is, and all the elements, the theme, the novels, the literary element, the direction of which you will go in terms of compare and contrast. That's what I'll look for in that opening introduction. When we look at the literary analysis, that's really how you use the device or devices, because you may be choosing two, that will be substantiating your point of view. And then in the compare and contrast, how do you take that same substantiation, that same analysis of the text using the element, and show it side by side with the two primary sources that you've chosen, the 2 books. And then, of course, the alignment and the smooth integration of the sources, and then the interpretation is how you kind of bring it all together in each part of the body paragraph. So with that, I encourage you to contact me if you have any questions or need help. I look forward to reading your papers, and I hope that you're as excited as I am, because this is really, really the big thing. Now we're really moving into in-depth analysis of the literature and how it is manipulated or created by the authors to make a commercial success. Good luck, and let me know if you need any help.